Hey there friends, it's Stacy. I'm the Clover Patch Creative, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be working up this sample of my Harvest Checks Crochet Throw. This is actually a really beginner-friendly blanket pattern. Don't let the looks of it intimidate you. If you know how to single crochet and half double crochet and double crochet, then you most definitely can tackle this. Now, if you'd like the full written pattern, you can find it in my Etsy shop, in my Ravelry store, and also on my website, and links to all of those places are listed in the description. I don't sell anywhere else, so if you see this pattern or any of my other patterns for that matter floating around anywhere else, those are being sold illegally. So please make sure you're buying directly from me. And the same holds true for any other designer. Make sure you're buying directly from them or from a website that they have approved of. All right, so let's get started. For this blanket, I'm using a size J or 6.0 millimeter crochet hook and some 4-weight or medium weight yarn. This is Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn in Light Sage. This is not the color that I used on my blanket though. I used this same brand, but I used the color Sun Gold for my blanket. I'm using this today because I think it'll show up a little bit better for the tutorial, and also just so you can see it worked up in a different color, and also because that Sun Gold did not play well with my camera. I had to edit those photos a ton to get the color to look accurate and to look like the same color as the skein of yarn. For some reason, I don't know, the camera did not like that color. So I'm just going to use this Light Sage today. Now this blanket is made up of blocks of half double crochet and crumpled griddle stitch, and each of those blocks is 11 stitches across. So the pattern multiple for your starting chain needs to be any odd multiple of 11 plus one more chain for a turning chain. So, and I say it needs to be an odd multiple of 11 because you want your first block and your last block to be the same. So for this sample, I've chained 33 chains and then added one more chain for the turning chain for a total of 34. Now our first block is going to be half double crochet. So super easy. Beginning in the second chain from the hook, you're going to work 11 half double crochets. This loop on the hook doesn't count as anything. Here's the first chain, here's the second chain, and I prefer to turn my chain over and work my stitches in the back bump. You don't have to do that though. This is just personal preference. I like the edge that it creates when I work my stitches this way. So in these next 11 chains, I'm going to work one half double crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now these next 11 chains, we're going to work crumpled griddle stitch. And don't let that name scare you. All crumpled griddle stitches is alternating stitches of single crochet and double crochet. So beginning in this next stitch, in stitch number 12, or in chain number 12, we're going to work a single crochet, and then we're going to work a double crochet, then a single crochet, double crochet for these next 11 stitches. So single crochet, that's stitch number 1, double crochet, stitch number 2, single crochet, it's number 3, double crochet, stitch number 4, single crochet, number 5, double crochet, number 6, single crochet number 7, double crochet, stitch number 8, single crochet, stitch number 9, double crochet, stitch 10, and single crochet for stitch 11. And then that's our second block done. And then on this last block, we're just going to work 11 stitches of half double crochet. So I'm not going to make you watch me half double crochet these last 11. I'll work these, and then when I get to the end, I'll meet you back. All right, here we are at the end of row 1. This is what you should have so far. You have 11 half double crochet, and then your next 11 stitches, you should be alternating single crochet and double crochet, beginning and ending with a single crochet. That is important for crumpled griddle stitch. And then the final 11 half double crochet. All right, to begin row 2, let's chain up 1 and turn. And row 2 is really easy because you're basically just going to do the exact same thing you just did. We're going to have 11 half double crochet, and then our next 11 stitches, we're going to alternate a single crochet and a double crochet for 11 stitches. So you should be starting and ending that little section, that little block, with a single crochet, and then the final 11 half double crochet. Okay, so let's get this done. 11 half double crochet beginning in the very first stitch. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And now we're going to start on our second block, which is crumpled griddle stitch. All crumpled griddle stitch is you always begin and end with a single crochet, and you alternate single crochet and double crochet, and you will always be working a single crochet into a single crochet and always working a double crochet into a double crochet. That's all crumpled griddle stitch is, and it creates the most beautiful texture. Okay, so for these next 11 stitches, I'm going to alternate single crochet and double crochet. So there's 2, single crochet, that's 3, double crochet 4, single crochet 5, double crochet 6, single crochet 7, double crochet 8, single crochet 9, double crochet 10, and single crochet 11. Now, if you want to use stitch markers so that you don't necessarily have to count, you can do that. And I don't normally count in my head when I'm working these because I've been crocheting long enough that I can identify these stitches. And every time I see a half double crochet, I know to work a half double crochet. Every time I see a single crochet, I know to work a single crochet. And every time I see a double crochet, I know to work a double crochet in that stitch. But if you're a beginner and you're still learning how to identify what those stitches look like, for sure use a stitch marker. That will help you, unless you want to count, and if you want to count, that's okay too. So anyway, we're down to our final 11 stitches, and these are half double crochet. So let's get these worked. Okay, I'm down to the last 3. Now you might have to kind of flip this over so you can see the top of the V. Don't accidentally go here, because if you go here like this, you're not actually working into the top of the stitch. This is the 3rd loop of the half double crochet, and this is the front loop. So kind of flip this over and make sure you're going underneath the front loop and the back loop of that half double crochet, like this. Okay, so here we are at the end of row 2. Now it will kind of curl and crumple a little bit at the beginning. Once you get some length, that will start to fix itself. And also just the heaviness of the yarn once it gets bigger and bigger. And also once you get a border on it, it helps with that. So don't panic if you see it kind of curling a little bit. Okay, so this is the blanket. This is all it is. So, well, for this section. So for a total of 9 rows, you're going to keep doing this. So we already have 2 rows worked. I'm going to work 7 more rows for a total of 9 rows for this section. So let me get those worked and then I'll show you how to do the next section. Okay, see you back in a minute. All right, I'm down to the last 2 half double crochet of row 9. Again, on this last stitch, flip that over because this stitch kind of curls over on itself. Make sure you're going underneath the front and back loop, not this 3rd loop. So turn that over, look for your V, and go underneath the V for that final half double crochet. So this is what you should have after row 9. Don't panic if it looks like this crumpled griddle section is pinched in a little bit and a little bit shorter than your half double sections. All of that will work out once we get this next section worked and we get some more height and more weight from the yarn. Also, once you get a border on it, that helps even stuff out too. So don't panic. It's supposed to look like this. All right, so this next section, the next section of blocks, is going to be worked in the opposite way of this section. We're going to start out, rather than with half double crochet, we're going to start out with a crumpled griddle section and then do a half double section and then follow that up with a crumpled griddle section. So to start that, and we're going to do that for 9 rows, just like we did for this last section. So to start this, chain up 1 and turn. And we're going to start working crumpled griddle stitch with a single crochet in the first stitch, followed by a double crochet, then a single crochet, double crochet. We're just going to do this for 11 stitches. That was number 4. Here's 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a double. Number 9 is a single. 10 is a double, and 11 is a single. So there's the setup row for our next crumpled griddle block. And now we're going to do half double crochet for 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then 1 more section of crumpled griddle. So begin with a single crochet, then work a double, then single, and we're doing this for these last 11 stitches. And ending with a single. And so this is what you should have at the end of row 10. Then we're going to chain up 1 and turn. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with a single followed by double. So alternate single and double crochet for 11 stitches, then work 11 stitches of half double crochet, and then 11 stitches of alternating single and double crochet for your last crumpled griddle section. All right, so I'm going to get this second section, which is the opposite of this, worked, and when I get finished with it, I will be back and show you what you should have. Okay, I am on the last few stitches of row 18. This is the crumpled griddle stitch section. And I'm finishing with a single crochet, and that finishes out this section of blocks. So this is what you should have so far. Okay, then for the next row, for row 19 and the next section of blocks, we're going to go back to what we did on the first section of blocks. We're going to work 11 half double crochet right here. Then we're going to go to the crumpled griddle stitch for the second set of 11 stitches, beginning with a single crochet and ending with a single crochet, and alternating between single crochet and double crochet for those stitches. And then the final 11 stitches will be half double crochet again. So worked in the same way as this first section. So since you've seen me do that, I'm not going to make you watch me. I will get these this last little set of blocks done, and then when I am finished with it, I will come back so that you can see what it should look like. All right, I just finished row 27, and notice everything is evening out like I promised that it would. And so this is basically how the whole blanket goes. You're just going to alternate these sections until the blanket is as long as you want. Now I will say that for the length, remember each section is 9 rows. So for the length for the number of rows, I did an odd multiple of 9 for the same reason that I did an odd multiple of 11 going across. I wanted to begin and end with the same block stitch. So you do what you want, but I suggest for uniformity and so that everything is nice and even that you do an odd number of, or an odd multiple of 9 for your number of rows. Okay, so let's talk about the border. All right, for the border, don't cut your yarn. We're just going to chain up 1 and turn as if we are beginning a new row. So we won't have any extra ends to weave in. And then all I did was work 2 rounds of single crochet for the border. Super simple. And in fact, you may not even need a border. I mean, the sides are pretty straight. But I just wanted that little extra finishing touch that a border adds. So I did 2 rounds of single crochet. Now beginning in this first stitch, just single crochet, and you will do it in every single stitch along the top. Once you get to a corner, you'll work 3 single crochet into the corner stitch and in every corner stitch around the blanket. For the sides, the stitch count that worked for me and for my tension was to work 1 single crochet per row. Now, that might not work for you. If you find that your border is puckering or ruffling along the sides, you're going to need to adjust that, or potentially go up or down a hook size or 2, because that's another way you can adjust. But that's just something that you have to play around with and see what works for you. Like I said, 1 per row worked for me. You do what works for you. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody is going to know. If you have extra stitches over here that aren't on this side, as long as your border lies nice and flat, you're good. Nobody's going to know. All right, so I am going to I'll work this first round, and I'll show you how to, because we're doing continuous rounds, so I'll show you how I start the second round once I get all the way around. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm almost back to the beginning of the round, working these last few single crochet up the side. And then I'm back to the first stitch to the corner stitch. However, I'm only going to work 2 single crochet into this stitch because the first stitch of the round counts as that 3rd stitch. So just 2 single crochet in that same corner to finish out round 1. And then I'm going to place a stitch marker so that I know that's my last stitch. So just to recap, I did 1 single crochet along the top, 3 single crochet into the corner. The stitch count that worked for me along the side was, both sides, was 1 single crochet per row. You do what works for you though. And then along the bottom, I also worked 1 single crochet into each stitch, okay? And then on this final stitch, or on the final corner, just work 2 single crochet because the first stitch of the round counts as that 3rd stitch for the corner. Okay, now round 2. Round 2 is so much easier than round 1 because there is no guesswork involved. You're going to work 1 single, beginning in this very first stitch, you'll work 1 single crochet per stitch around the blanket and 3 single crochet into each corner stitch. So I'm going to get this worked, and then when I get back to the beginning of the round, I'll show you how to finish it off. Okay, I have just a few stitches left for this round. Let me get these worked. Now I'm bumping into the stitch marker here, so this is the last stitch of the round. However, this is also the corner stitch, so I need to work 3 single crochet into this corner stitch. And then to finish, all you do is slip stitch to join to the first stitch of the round, fasten off, pull through. I'm not going to do that because I don't have my scissors over here, and so we're just going to pretend like I have completed that, and then that's it. You're finished. So how is that for a pretty easy, pretty beginner-friendly blanket that doesn't necessarily look beginner-friendly? It looks way more complicated than it really is. Okay, well, I guess I'll sign off for now. Again, if you would like the full written pattern for this blanket, you can find it in my Etsy shop, in my Ravelry store, and also on my website. I hope you guys have a really, really great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.